Hey there, happy week 8. Oh my goodness, 3 weeks left, we can do this. So this is a huge week. We are talking about integrity and soul esteem, which is what this spiritual journey is all about. And then we have another couple weeks of really focusing on our spiritual connection, unconditional love. So this is a really juicy next couple weeks. But this week, so we are going to talk about integrity and soul esteem, cultivating a willingness to be vulnerable, courage as a way of life, freedom from shame, and trusting the process. So I just want to define integrity and soul esteem right off the bat. So I know that I used to think of integrity as doing the right thing, ethics and morals, like very vanilla. And now I see integrity as really being in alignment with the essence, the core of who we are, our soul, our spirit, fully in alignment with our core values, our intentions, everything that we stand for. And soul esteem, which is a term that my life coach, I think she coined it, I don't know, but Tanya Vaughn, she talked about soul esteem as kind of a deeper sense of self-esteem. So we all know what self-esteem is. Like, I feel good about myself, I have self-confidence, but soul esteem is being, like I said, in full alignment with our soul, that I don't need anyone's approval, I don't need the world to back me up, I don't need anyone on my side. I know that I am in my truth, owning who I am. Like, you don't need anyone else. You got this. You have soul esteem. Not self-esteem, soul esteem, okay? And Brene Brown has an amazing book out right now called Braving the Wilderness, and she talks about true belonging, not being with anyone else, but with yourself. The only place that we can find true belonging is by being in integrity and in our truth of who we are. So I love that. So that is what this week's all about. We've done a lot of work on like I said, our core values, our intentions, who do we want to be, how do we want to show up in the world, and this week is all about, are we in alignment with that? And I know we've done a lot of work on this already, but we're really going to dive in this week. So first of all, being in integrity, we have to cultivate a willingness to be vulnerable. So it is really easy to be in integrity when it's easy, when we're not going to disappoint anyone, when there's nothing at risk. It's easy. What's not easy is when we have to be vulnerable, maybe we have to stand up for ourselves or someone else, maybe we're going to disappoint someone or let someone down, maybe we're going to have to go at it alone. That is so vulnerable, and if we're not willing to be vulnerable, we're not going to be able to be in full integrity. So whatever you feel about that word, vulnerability, I know some people see it as weakness or scary, but we have to be willing to cultivate a willingness to be vulnerable. Like, even when it's uncomfortable, which it is, I'm willing to do that so that I can be in integrity. So kind of play with that word a little bit, see how you feel with it, and see if you can really step in to a willingness to be vulnerable. Next is courage as a way of life. So we've already talked a lot about courage in the last week, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but really courage has to become a way of life for us. Not something that we do occasionally, but a way of showing up for our lives, because we are challenged all the time, sometimes daily, sometimes multiple times a day, of owning our truth, whether it's standing up for yourself if someone bullies you a little bit, or speaking up for a colleague, whatever it is, we're challenged all the time. And if we're not practicing showing up in a courageous way, we're not going to do it in the moments that count. So we have to be willing to have courage as a way of life so that when we are presented with those opportunities, we're used to it. We know our little courage flag pops up and we're like, this is my time. Because like it takes vulnerability to be in integrity, it takes courage. And there's so many amazing quotes out there where, you know, courage isn't the absence of fear, it's like the willingness to move through it and to show up for it and to not let it define you or control you. So courage as a way of life is super, super important. Now I want to talk a little bit about shame, which I am super passionate about. So shame happens when we don't feel good about ourselves, or we think, I am bad. I love how Brené Brown defines guilt as I did something bad, shame as I am bad. And when we act out of integrity with who we are, when we go against our soul, our essence, the truth of who we are, we don't feel good about ourselves. Hopefully we choose guilt, sometimes we choose shame, whatever it is, like we live with that, we carry that, we wear that. So the more in integrity we are, the less in shame and guilt we are, and that's so, so important. And so just making sure that if you're feeling guilt or shame, check yourself, clean it up. Get back in integrity. And then hopefully going forward, there are less times where we step out of integrity because we know how it feels. So just notice how it feels when you are out of alignment, when you are out of integrity. It doesn't feel good, and it's really hard to love ourselves when we're feeling ashamed. So using integrity and vulnerability and courage as a way to love ourselves, to stay out of shame, to be proud of who we are, to have that soul esteem, okay? And then finally, trusting the process. So I will be the first to tell you, it is not easy to be in integrity. It is challenging, it's scary, it's vulnerable, it's all these things, but ultimately it is essential for us to love ourselves. And that is what this series is all about, is falling in love with ourselves. Integrity and soul esteem are so important. So trust the process. You might go through difficult times. You might go through valleys. You might feel super alone, but just trust that if you are acting in alignment with the truth of who you are, it's all going to be okay. Rely on that courage tribe that you created last week. Find those people that are valuing the same things as you, that are showing up with integrity and showing up with courage. So trust the process. Know that you are going to be okay, that you are not alone, because as Brené Brown says, you belong to yourself. Okay, that is what's most important. You, your higher power, whatever that looks like for you, being in integrity with your soul, with your spirit, having that soul esteem, you got this, okay? And so be sure and check out the full post. We are going to be doing some homework this week to see where we're out of integrity, out of alignment, some actions we can take to get back in alignment so that we can move into the next weeks of spiritual connection, love, feeling awesome. All right, I love you. You got this. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you next week.